What is going on, everyone? My name's Andy and welcome to another FPL video, another pre-season video where we're talking World Cup hangovers. The World Cup has now sadly ended. It's been a great month of international football. Congratulations to France, commiserations to Croatia and England. But today we're looking at World Cup hangovers. So I've basically put a squad together of all the players that are likely to miss out in the first couple of game weeks because of the World Cup. And then discuss kind of what the kind of ramifications of that are. So let's just bear in mind it's now less than 28 days to go until the Premier League starts. Some of these players have played right up to the semi-final and final. Even those that have been in the squad and haven't played, you know, the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, people like that. Mignolet, obviously backup keeper for Belgium, but hasn't played a single minute. Even those kind of players have still had to do training. They've had no break since the league ended. So they're still going to be probably not available for the start of the season. So we're going to look through the squad. There's three things to bear in mind, I suppose, for a player that's been there a long time. Obviously, what are the ramifications for that player? Does that give any benefits to another player? Perhaps if one's going to miss out, that's actually going to benefit another one to start. Could be good for early game weeks for our squads. And then three, what's the effect on the team? Because some teams have got way more players missing than others. So going to look through the squad I've made, plus some bonus names in there as well, and then go through who I think benefits the most from the World Cup hangover, basically. So let's just jump straight into it. So this is the squad I've put together. First thing you can see, there's a lot of names here, and I've even missed some out just because there's not enough space to put them on the screen. And a lot of them are from top six sides. It's basically top six teams and Leicester for the most part who have got players missing. So I've kind of put the main standout ones in the actual squad, and then the list of names is just loads more that are also missing out. So the first kind of things that stand out to me is Spurs are in trouble. You've got Trippier, Ali, Kane, and then on the list you've got Vertonghen, Alderweireld. Son, although Korea didn't get too far in the World Cup, they didn't get out of the groups. He's now going to play in the Asian Games, so he's going to miss the start of the season. Eriksen, again, didn't get quite as far as the semi-final, so possibly will be available to start. But he's another one that's on the cusp of potentially not starting in game week 1. So I worry for Spurs. It does kind of benefit some players. For example, Danny Rose was in the England squad, so you're likely to see that Ben Davies, although I think he's number one left back for Spurs anyway now, you can probably be assured that he's going to start the first few game weeks. There may be a rotation after that. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the transfer window, whether Rose goes or not. But Ben Davies at $6 million guaranteed to start for Spurs, but they're missing so many players. How will that affect them going forward? I think we've got to take that into account. I'm a bit worried about Spurs. But it does bring into consideration players like Lamela, for example. I think he's 6.5 million. He did well at the end of the last season when he got a few games. He doesn't get games that often. But he's going to be fresh going into the start of the season. So someone like Lamela, 6.5 million, if you just want someone for the first few games, could do well. I think one thing I didn't mention in the kind of intro is that I think we're going to be looking at an early wildcard this year just because of the sheer amount of good players who are going to come back from the World Cup that we'll probably want in our squad. So looking through the West again, Lovren now. I know Lovren gets a lot of love for the wrong reasons. He told the media that he was one of the best defenders in the world. Whether he is or not, I don't know. But he was number one choice alongside Van Dijk last year. I would say he probably still is unless Liverpool make any more signings. Now, you can scoff at that. You can think he's not a good player. But if he's number one centre-back alongside Van Dijk in a team that kept, I think, 17 clean sheets last year, that's pretty impressive. I expect them to build on that now they've got their established backline. I think 5 million, he's underpriced. I think he should be 5.5 million at a minimum. I think there's goal threat there, bonus points potential. I think 5 million is a really good price. And if you want to back the Liverpool backline, he is a good one. But obviously he's going to miss out now. So there's other players you could look to if you want someone early on, because Liverpool have pretty good starting fixtures. Obviously Robertson's 6 million, he's going to start anyway. But with Trent Alexander-Arnold in the England squad, yes, he's not played, but he's probably going to get a bit of a rest, especially being so young and doing so well last season. That Klein at 5 million could come in at right back. Obviously, there's Joe Gomez as well, but he's carrying a bit of a knock right now. So we'll have to wait until we get closer to the start of the season. But someone like Klein could be good at Liverpool. And then moving on, you've got Leicester. I'm a bit worried about Leicester. Maguire's probably their best centre-back. He's going to miss out at the start of the season. Vardy as well. They've lost Mahrez to Man City. I wouldn't be back in Leicester anytime soon. And then Man United as well, they've got some of their big stars. I think Pogba at 8 million is potentially really good value this season. I think he did really well last season. Points per match was pretty good. When I saw the 8 million price tag, I thought, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. But the problem is France have gone all the way to the final. So in less than 28 days, he's absolutely not going to start in the start of the season. Mourinho's basically already said anyone that was at the World Cup is going to be a slim chance of them starting. So Pogba's now a problem. I don't know if it really brings in too many options in Man United midfield that you'd really want to go for. I think the one I'd be looking at is potentially someone like Anthony Martial, because Lukaku and Rashford aren't going to play. that could push someone like Sanchez up front or even Martial up front. Either way, one of them will probably get the other wing spot as well. So Sanchez is guaranteed to play, but Martial now potentially getting more minutes, so he's not there. And then looking around Hazard as well, you could get one of like Willian or Pedro, or someone might get more starts with Hazard missing out. Hazard's even kind of hinted that he's going to go, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Man City, Sterling's going to miss out. I think someone like Mahrez or Bernardo Silva could possibly get into the team when they weren't going to originally. So we'll have to wait. The good thing about Man City is they're going to play in the Charity Shield, so that'll probably give us a good indication of who Pep wants to start the season with. So I'd definitely be looking at them. And then Harry Kane, massive premium striker. Hasn't looked great at the World Cup, if we're honest. I know he got 6 goals, but it looked, especially in the knockout rounds, like he was carrying a knock. Just wasn't fit at all. A lot of people saying that he's basically looked like that ever since he came back from his ankle injury. Got rushed back too quick. Whether that was the club or him that rushed back too quick, we don't know. But for 12.5 million, I just think there's so much better value on offer right now. Obviously, he's got that can't score in August curse, which I know sounds ridiculous that a player that good can't score in August, but even he knows about it. He was talking about it last year, so it's obviously on his brain a little bit. So I think Kane's a no-go for me. I don't think he's going to start the season. I think for 12.5 million, he's really going to have to step it up this year. It's between him and Salah as the big price players. I think you're going to be hard pushed to get both of those and the other players that you want. And I think with the likes of Aubameyang and Aguero around to start the season, that's a lot of potential value there. Only 11 million. We know what Aguero can do. We saw what Aubameyang did for half of last season. They really tempt me. So Kane, World Cup hangover, no chance he's getting anywhere near my team. Then we've got the 2 goalkeepers, Lloris and Courtois, went to the semi-final and final. I don't really know how much a goalkeeper will be affected by this. Probably not as much as an outfield player, but again, they're definitely going to get a break. They're going to get barely any pre-season, and they're going to get thrown straight back into it. So you could see the likes of Cavallero, for example, at Chelsea, 5 million get in. We don't know. I mean, Chelsea got a new manager now, so potentially there's a bunch of new signings come in. I've seen Alisson Becker and stuff get touted for them, so we'll have to wait and see. But in general, there's now, I've got Kante on the list, I know. Obviously, there's not really someone that you're going to replace Kante with that you want in your FPL team as a defensive midfielder. But again, does that mean Chelsea won't be as good for keeping clean sheets? Will Jorginho come in and kind of temper that while Kante's out or not? Do they need both of them? We don't know yet. So I would take a look at this list and basically say anyone that you see on the screen now is almost certainly not going to start game week 1. Potentially the goalkeepers, but the outfield players, especially those that have played all the way to the semi-final and final, they are not going to start. You're going to need to consider other options. I, for example, have got my sights on Luke Shaw, because Ashley Young played. He was the left back of choice last year. Will Luke Shaw get a start? He looks like he's got his fitness up in the kind of pictures he's posted on Instagram and Twitter. At 5 million, I think Luke Shaw's pretty attacking. He's good for bonus. If I can just get him for the first few game weeks and he plays, I'd absolutely love that. So, like I say, look at every player on this screen. They're probably not going to start game week 1, I would imagine. Ericsson maybe didn't go as far. But you need to look at replacements and kind of take into account how much their team is going to be affected. So Spurs especially going to be tough. I think Man City will be fine. They've got so much squad depth. Man United haven't got too many players missing, but the ones they have are big key men, Lukaku and Pogba. Is that going to affect how attacking they are? Will they go for more clean sheets at the start? I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. And then Leicester, I think, are in a bit of trouble without Maguire, Vardy. Obviously, Mara is not a World Cup hangover, but he's gone from their team. So that's my squad. Let me know if there's any players I've missed. There's probably some that aren't on the list I just couldn't fit in. And now I'm just going to quickly go into who I think are the possibly top picks based on the World Cup hangover. So these are just some of the players I've picked out as top picks based on what we've just talked about for the hangover squad. Now, obviously, someone like Aubameyang is not just suddenly going to play now because someone else is missing out because of the World Cup. But when you look at the kind of premium striker budget or bracket with Aguero, him, Kane and Lukaku, suddenly with 2 of them going because of the World Cup, Kane and Lukaku not really options right now, he suddenly gets pushed up to the top without even considering how good he was last season. So he's definitely a top pick for me. I think fully rested. I think Arsenal in general are just fully rested. New manager, not many of their players went to the World Cup. None that I can think from the kind of first 11 Ozil, I suppose, from the group stage. But Germany didn't get any further than that, so he should be back pretty soon and we'll get some pre-season to start the season off. So Aubameyang's definitely top of my list, and obviously if Kane and Lukaku aren't there and you're looking at premium strikers, you've got to look at Aguero. Yes, he was at the World Cup, but he didn't go as far as Jesus. He didn't play as many minutes as Jesus. I think for a lot of last season he was first choice. I don't see Man City buying another striker when they've got 2 world-class strikers as it is. So I think Aguero is probably going to start the season. With Man City fixtures, he could be the attacker to get. You could take a risk on a midfielder. Like I said before, the Charity Shield could give you some indication of what's going to happen and who's going to start. But I think Aguero and Aubameyang, if you can fit both of them in with Salah, I think you're looking good. It's going to take up a large chunk of your budget. Maybe you'll have to decide between one of Aubameyang and Aguero. And to be fair, Aguero does have the better start. But I think two of those would be great. Ben Davies, as I already mentioned, I think Danny Rose going to the World Cup is going to mean Ben Davies starts as number one. If he wasn't number one already, you probably want in on that Spurs defence. I think they're really good for clean sheets. Ben Davies got 7 assists last year. That was top for defenders. I think he was joint top with Trippier and Cresswell. So 6 million looks really good. And then Martial is kind of like a bit of a punt. I know, Man United player, I know what you're going to say. But I just think he's going to probably start the season unless he gets sold. There's obviously rumours of that. Him and Sanchez probably going to start the season as possibly the wingers, or Sanchez up front or Martial up front with Rashford and Lukaku not around. At 7.5 million, could be a bit of a punt. Granted, I know he hasn't quite worked out in the past, doesn't usually get the minutes, but at the start of the season he definitely could. So these are my top picks. Let me know in the comments below who are your top picks based on who's going to miss out of the World Cup. Obviously there's loads of other top picks as well, but for the first few game weeks there's going to be possibly a few different options that we wouldn't have for a regular season. I think, I'm not putting them down, but I think a Lamella for 6.5 million could be an outside bet as well. So I'm going to leave that video there. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, be much appreciated. If you're new around here, subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified for the next video. Got plenty planned for pre-season and beyond. I'll also let you know when the live streams are going, well, live as well. But don't know when the next live stream will be, probably in a week or so, and then I'll do probably 2 or 3 before the start of the season. But otherwise, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.